Hi everyone. If you're checking this out, this is just two of us brainstorming a potential future project. Uh, I'm taking
Welcome.
time, Bob, and this over here is the cat's
Hi,
meow, aka Mark.
I'm Mark of the Cat's Meow. Come join us for some chat time. Yeah.
Okay, so we were talking about mixing some ideas together, and I have a little notebook. A Google Doc started that we can just get some ideas down on paper. Um, Let us do so, my friend. All right. So, things we talked about when we first sat down to do this, we talked about virtual LARP. So, something that would support a larger player base. That would be the only reason to LARP, because it's a virtual LARP isn't truly a LARP. It would play less like a coterie game. It would be more like core, like a lot would happen. If this were Pendragon, it would be like a feast only Pendragon game.
Yeah.
um, right? It's a lot happening at court. It's a lot of sort of the idea in LARP is you don't spend a lot of time out of character. You spend the time in character, behaving as your character. And I think that would be fairly well supported in what we're aiming to do. Um, so we were talking about. I think we were flirting with the New York setting, going from Victorian age all the way to the final nights in the modern era. Is it still something? Should I record that as our starting point?
Oh, definitely. I do like the idea of like a roughly um end of the 19th century to the end of the 20th century, or the beginning of the 20th century. Is that how time works? I've always forget.
Beginning, yeah,
Yeah, 1897-ish to 1999.
right. And
So we'll
that's
be playing, yeah, through big
that's
events in history. World War One, World War Two, yada yada yada. But with a
Spanish
focus on the
flu,
effect of Spanish flu, with a focus on New York as a political center and the kind of goings on in the city.
right? Exactly. Bullets. It's gonna get some bullets going. Oh, that didn't seem to help. It's okay. I'll try one more time, then give up. They're not triggering. One sec. Let's use these. It's fine. So virtual LARP, end of the 19th century, beginning of the 21st century.
Yep.
Uh, what else do we want here? Um, New York is the setting. Camarilla focus.
Yep. I just feel like that works better for a LARP. You know, you don't want to
100%.
see a bunch of players diablerizing and killing each other during a meeting. That sets a bad precedent.
Sabat LARPs are oddly popular. I don't get it personally. I find it. Look, I like the idea of the Sabat, but I feel like the Sabat are just for. I don't know. I'm probably gonna lose some popularity, but edge lords and people who are just bored and played too many Vampire the Masquerade games, so they're like they need that new thing that's gonna spice up the life. But,
I mean, you're not wrong, but as an avid Sabot supporter or defender, I should say, nuances to it. It's a, it's
there
not all.
there are some nuances. I will agree with that.
They're kind
You
of like the very religious stepchild of the Camarilla, just
right?
a little nutty.
That is true. That is true. All right. So, thinking about this a little bit, um, using Mind's Eye Theater system.
Yep.
Uh,
Probably with a few adjustments of our own, but we'll see as we get closer. I imagine that'll be the main base.
Technology. Let's talk about that. So, Discord.
Yep.
Rock paper scissors bot.
Indeed, we have a really cool rock paper scissors bot where you can challenge people and do the classic Rochambeau.
And Foundry. I like the idea of Foundry.
I like Foundry too, just mostly because I think of how it works. I think it works well for the ideas we have.
I envision a camera-based game with... And why I think the camera-based game would be really useful, there's just certain nuances about the acting side of the LARP where seeing expressions and stuff are just really, really useful. And maybe we could make exceptions, but there'd be like an exception process that you have to go through. Like, right? I don't know about that. Or we just stand firm to it.
I think we'll probably discuss it more as we get closer to the actual thing, but I do think that's a good idea.
Audio, video, mandatory, question mark.
Audio, definitely. Like, we're not going to do text-based stuff. Yeah. At least not as our prime focus.
Yeah, so an example of an exception to that would be Stargazer Soul over at... so we have... in our D&D games, we've encountered that, and it wasn't, it was quite useful what we were able to do there. So I just think there needs to be a reason beyond I'm not comfortable, because it's not that I'm not willing to entertain the idea that they're not comfortable. I actually understand that. It's just not what we're after, right? To make a bunch of exceptions on that. So there's, I think, starting with the setting a little bit more. So let's see, starting setting. New York, in the late 1800s. Camarilla is not in charge, right? Sabadar. But there is a strong push by the Camarilla. So this is actually supported in the Victorian Age Vampire book. There's a Dux, what are they called? Dux something? Like Duke.
Dux Valerum, I think.
Yeah.
The Ventru. Warlord of Camarilla.
Yeah. VTM. New York. Prince. I just looked this up and I unfortunately closed it.
Yeah. Dux Bellum is a battle marshal, the master of Camarilla combat engagement.
Give me a sec here.
Ooh. I did find the name of the one in New York at the time of the Victorian era.
What's his name?
Joseph Wesley.
That's right.
Or Wellesley.
Leslie. Yeah, so the idea with him, you can use him combined with a few NPCs from New York by Night, like there's some Nosferatu that are major figures at the time, and that could be your sort of Camarilla base. Those could be the NPCs floating about, I think.
Indeed. I imagine like Joseph Wesley being like the kind of central figurehead for the Camarilla, the kind of the poster child, if you will.
Yeah.
While there's some other figures going around keeping control of things and helping to manage.
And then, of course, you know, on the Sabat side of the fence, who's in charge, we have
Good
Ekaterina.
old
Ekaterina.
Ekaterina the Wise.
She's a bishop. I believe Pomponia might be there as an archbishop, though that might come later. I have to double check the notes there. So there's lots to play around with. Obviously, there's the Zemitzi secrets underneath the city already. There's a ton to play with in that sandbox. In New York being this massive grounds, you know, they have another figure that's around at this time is the Baron of Staten Island. What's his name from the video games?
I know who you're talking about, but
Venture Baron. Forget his name. That's wild. Is it Douglas Callahan? There we go.
it's Douglas, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Callahan, that's what they call him, right?
Yeah. So Callahan would be kicking around. There could be a little bit of NPC competing for power. I think LARPs are always interesting when there is that internal machinations, and perhaps starting with NPC driven, but as the eras go on, the NPCs will become like peer opponents, or eventually potentially more like subordinates, right? As you get these century-old vampires. I think safe to say that we'd want PCs to be neonates, since we're
100%.
aging through time.
I think at least no, I should say at maximum like embrace 10 years before the events of the game. Enough time to be a proper neonate, kind of evolved from fledgling.
And what'd be really interesting is we might not even have to change that number. So the idea would be that you could still allow someone to come back with someone from the late 1800s as you near the modern knights kind of thing. But it might be like more by approval. So it's like new people coming in don't necessarily pick that up and play the aged old vampire that they don't know how to play. A very important question. Oh, I think we answered that already. I was going to ask what system, but I think we said Mind's Eye Theater.
Yep.
I keep forgetting that. I keep thinking between V20 and V5.
Yeah. All right then.
Cadence, monthly, bi-weekly. What's our target?
I think our plan originally was either monthly or bi-weekly, and the idea of it kind of the game inside the world also changing each time a month passes.
I like it. Yeah, so in 12 months, if we started in 1897, in 12 months we'd be in 1909 or something like that.
Yeah. Each month is roughly a year or so.
Yeah.
I guess well, the other thing to think about is like within our game, what's like the because I imagine like each game is either set in an Elysium or at an important place. So these probably like meetings between the kindred happen either once a year or twice a year or something like that.
These would be the major events. Which do we need a downtime system then for people to feel like they're up to stuff between game?
I like the idea of a downtime system. I've got a few ideas for how we can like have things in like the background of the world be affected during the downtime, and then have it come up during play. Like if someone's spending their time securing blood sources for the Camarilla, that could have an effect on things. Or if someone screws up massively, it might have an effect on the masquerade and the tension kind of felt at those moments.
I like it.
I think we could also have like almost like a board game type system, but that's probably something we can go more into later.
So I propose for structure a head ST and guest ST and a ref, almost.
Mm.
So a head ST is someone who, it's what you and I are putting our positions in, and we'd only grow that if our numbers got large. But the idea is we actually write the story, we know what's happening behind the scenes. We're very plugged into the game. The guest STs are people that might come and run a single session. They just have to approve it through us, and then we might play an NPC or something that session, right?
Or we could also have them run NPCs during the big LARP events.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
A referee has neither of those positions, but they can watch a combat that happens and rule over it. Like they know the rules, they've established the rules, and they're good at mediating, so they can step out of character real quick to go watch something.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk a little bit more. We were talking about technology. Oh, we got Discord Foundry. So I like the idea in Foundry of having actual maps with Fog of War. And so the idea being that you don't know what's going on in the other room. And it's up to the staff to kind of coordinate that. So in Discord, you could always flag a message that says, you hear a noise from the other room, right? And then they have to go. If there's combat, something they did, I think they have it in the Mind's Eye Theater rules, but there's like a combat bubble. They might have changed that. It's been years since I've played, but the idea is like, you have to treat the combat bubble as something that's happening all at once, because otherwise everyone and their mother is going to dogpile on it. So
yeah,
the idea is like, if you weren't there and watching it and part of it to begin with, you just won't get there. It doesn't matter if you have celerity. It's just you can't react in time for those 4 rounds to be up or whatever.
Exactly.
We'll see what the actual like rules have to say about that. But
I definitely think that's a good idea, though.
Yeah.
To avoid that kind of dogpiling.
But I love the idea of like your icon actually having to physically move around the room, and maybe even having like an east and west portion of a large room where they're different Discord rooms, even though they're in the same room, right? And
definitely,
it limits some things to do that, because there will be people that like, well, I could hear with it's actually not that far off normal LARP. It's like, what if I want to pretend I'm sitting over here, but I'm actually eavesdropping on them over there using Auspex? It's like, what you do in LARP is you go up and you hold your ear and you go up to them, and now they know this means that you're
Auspex.
Yeah, Auspex. So you could do that, and you could have a little Auspex icon on your token, so people know.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Right. People know that you're not actually there, right? You're actually over.
Yeah.
Same with obfuscate. People would do this. There's obfuscate action, so you could sit there and eavesdrop. I mean, there's classically a Nosferatu in every single scene.
Yeah, assume it to be so, usually.
Yeah. I like the idea of, as you move towards Modern Night, those Elysium rules being more concrete. Like maybe they're a little less concrete at the beginning, so someone uses a power that's not harmful on someone, no one cares. But as people get more and more paranoid, as the nights go on.
Yeah. I can imagine, like, as we get closer to like different wars or big events and big battles, there's gonna be some real paranoia about people using obfuscate. What are you hiding? What are you doing?
100%.
Oh yeah.
It's coming together. What's our target size for a beginning audience? Let's do a min and max.
Yeah. I think a minimum we'd want like 5 or 6.
Minimum 6. What's our maximum?
Good question. I think we could pull off double our minimum, 12.
12.
I don't think we'll get more than 12. It's possible, but I don't think it's likely.
I'd like to propose 15 because if there's 2 of us storytelling, I think we can cover off 15. And the more people in a LARP, especially keeping in mind they're not all sitting in one room together,
Yeah.
talking over each other like certain other projects we've witnessed. The idea is they're going to private corners in the rooms and meetings.
Yeah, having their own conversations and stuff. Yeah, no, I think that works.
So I think map design will be crucial.
Yes. Need to have a lot of alcoves, a lot of like smaller rooms as well as bigger rooms. A good mix of that kind of stuff. I guess the main thing would be to discuss is what kind of Elysium where we want for it. Like, is it going to be like a bar? That's true. That's actually a very good point. In which case, the kind of the Elysium itself needs to match like the theme of the time. Like for like say the Roaring Twenties, it's like some kind of upbeat dance hall,
jazz bar,
like jazz bar or something like that. Yeah,
totally. And then we can also, another factor in there isn't only the mortal times, but where the Camarilla at that point. So.
Exactly. Yeah. In some places it might be big and lavish. At other times it might be small, cramped, and secure.
I think the target too is to let the players know that this is kind of a tragic story too. Like, it's not, you know, the Camarilla aren't set up for success, and you know, you're not going to walk in and conquer New York in a week. So
it kind of is the rise and fall, and then the rise and fall, and then the rise and fall.
And we don't have to prescribe that because I think it is important in LARP to allow for players to have a major impact, right? But so we don't have to use every meta point exactly as it happened in the books. It's sort of like Crusader King's a good example. It's like, if you start with this thing at this point, the future is less known. Like, you know,
things are more likely to
happened
change.
as is. So like, Ekaterina's there, but nothing's to say that she lasts, or nothing's to say that Joseph Pander survives. Nothing's to say that the Camarilla don't come up on top earlier, that the Anarchs don't get eradicated. You know,
there's still space for things to evolve, change with the players' decisions in the world.
I like the idea of anyone being like, I'm gonna go investigate that terror in the sewers. It's like, can I see your sheet?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm doing what you asked, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll make you a new character.
No. So it's pretty comprehensive for a starting spot. We were targeting launch date September.
Yep.
What about target days? So here's an idea for you I wanted to throw at you, and I'm not sure this will work for you. How comfortable would you feel about overlapping this? So what I'm finding is I become more into the streaming and I watch what other people are doing. A lot of them, I think, just to save themselves some mental space, have multiple games in a night, and that way they still have their break nights and stuff like that. How would you feel about, like, after Cats Meow. Like take an hour break and then come at it. It's usually
I think
done.
Yeah, I could probably do that. The main thing would be, because I imagine my current show will probably be finished by then. So if anything, we might have it in the same time slot I would have had originally for it, depending on how things work.
You're busy on Fridays, right?
Yes, but again, that might change when I move to the next system I do for that. I don't have a specific always going to be this day and time. Mostly because it's not quite possible with the current schedule I have.
And we'll TBD that because I think that's going to be really important for recruitment. We're going to have that lockdown.
100%.
We
I think
could.
Fridays is a good time. It's free for a lot of people.
That's Fridays and
Middle week work.
Saturdays. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Saturday for me, like once a month, would be very doable, especially if it was a little earlier. So I could, if I had my night job, I could do this and then go to the night job after.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, if it's once a month, I can make any day work.
Yeah, kind of same. The only exception is I have so many things on the go. We'll have to decide. Like, I need to figure out what I'm doing at Project Aurora, if with the traditional campaign. What date am I locking into that? So there's probably.
I also got to figure that out myself.
Yeah, I'm thinking that
figure that.
We're better off checking in again. I think in July.
Yeah, definitely.
See where we're at. So I'll put TBD, but I think Thursday, Friday, Saturdays are the best days to target.
Yeah.
Saturdays a lot of the time are good, and the best part is if one of us can't make it, if the other ST can run, someone could potentially guest ST for the session, right? But
yeah,
we could get a referee to step up, things like that, so that I think it's important that if we go with a monthly, that it runs every month almost without exception.
Exactly.
If it doesn't, it'll just be too much of a gap between games. I think bi-weekly is another common cadence that's done. It would certainly mean people would have a bit better plug-in, especially if it was they get 2 sessions in a year. It'd probably make them feel more like they're doing more in a year. Right?
Yeah.
The downtime.
That is something definitely
for
to consider.
Year.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else to discuss?
One thing that's just probably like a general thing for us to think about is clans. Like, are we just doing the Camarilla clans, and that's it?
So, let's do characters, open, restricted, banned. And the best thing you can do is, I think with this, it's just best to like, and then insert a table here, open, restricted, banned. Banned means don't talk to me about it. It's off the table.
Yeah.
Right? So, other splats for now. The list is banned.
100%.
Right.
You're not playing a werewolf. I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
No mages either.
Yeah. Restricted is so open Camarilla clans. Restricted Sabat.
Only Sabat and
Anarch.
No, because again, Anarch clans are mostly just Camarilla clans.
Independent?
Yeah, independent.
And same with Bloodlines, independent.
Yep.
So we can look at that as a case-by-case basis, not saying yes or no, but... So we have open Camarilla clans, which would be... I mean, we can probably call these out. So Ventru, Toreador, Gangrel, Bruja, Melkavian, Nosferatu. Am I missing one? No, Tremere.
Premiere.
Just like me to forget the Tremere.
I mean, I get it. Considering a lot of people forgot about the. I was gonna do a bit, but I've actually forgot their name.
Salubri?
Yeah, that's it.
Throw that in there for anyone that might need to see it. That's pretty comprehensive. So let's talk about some limiting factors. I think it's always good to do limiting factors.
Yeah.
Mark and Bob's time. Right?
Yeah.
I think we both have other projects that we don't want to lose track of. So
100%.
Is that you, by the way? Did you open up the sheet?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay. Just checking. Just curious.
I don't know if anyone's actually watching, I'll be honest. I think it's just me.
Seems like we have some bots. Do we have anyone in here? Anyone actually?
Is anyone there? If you are, say hi in the chat.
Hello?
We'll give you a shout out.
Okay. So limiting factors are time, recruitment by player, recruitment of players and staff, right? I would like to propose let's do effort. Because I'm going to propose some optional features. I love the idea of doing like a monthly highlights recap.
Yeah.
But that would require mashing together things that we might not have. Like, I'd love to add a video project component to this. Right? I even think it would be neat to just have... There's an aspect that would suck about it, because whenever something is broadcast, people get there's a little more concern with metagaming and stuff like that. But I think about how cool it'd be to have, and ideally like a streamer or recorder in every room, like a referee in a room, you know, and then all of us are able to mash together what actually took place, or just to follow like the two of us maybe and just try to mash that together. But we would probably need someone to take that on as like their full-time job, so that their full-time role. The other thing is map creation, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And then I think best costume vote or something like that for a month would also be useful.
I think that'd be fun. Yeah.
It encourages that LARPy angle to it. Taking on an NPC. So the other thing people can do is be like, you know, Florence here doesn't really need to do anything this year. So instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take on do you guys got any NPCs that I could run? Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna come into this room. I need you to come into. We're big tough guys. We're just gonna talk about how we're gonna rough these guys up. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hand them the sheet. I'm immortal. Yep. We have no idea these are vampires. We're just telling them they're on our turf and they need to go. Like that kind of thing, right? Like
Yeah. Mm.
like you can get help, right, to do that stuff.
Mm. Oh yeah.
I think starting with a minimum of 6 is a good idea. Maximum of 15, and then we can expand from there. Anything else that you wanted to go over, talk about?
Let's see. I think the rest of the stuff is stuff we just need to figure out, or would need to find the right people for, like the map making and the recording and all that kind of stuff.
Right, and we won't do we won't get into donations today, but I'd like to look at that because it might cost us some bit to do this, and this is the kind of thing where if we've got a bigger player base, they might, you know, be able to, like, I think listing donations as a non-necessity is probably a good idea. And if it gets to
Yeah.
be the point where, like, I've seen some streams be able to say, hey, this is what you're funding by supporting this, you know,
Yeah.
that would be useful for us, I think. So because
Definitely.
then we could maybe even hire someone to edit the mashup, like
Yeah.
stuff like that, right? We
Do
could,
extra stuff that can help for it.
yeah, we could justify someone's time.
Mm.
Cool.
Improve quality. Yeah.
Should we leave it at that then for now?
I think that's pretty good for now. We've got the good outline, uh, good structure. A lot of the small things kind of get out. The rest of it is just figuring out the right time for when we plan this, and doing some research into a few things and getting some stuff sort out for like the first, for the beginning at least.
Like learning the system?
I mean, that'll come later.
Yeah.
Sorting out things like the beginning of our timeline and systems and ideas and things we're gonna bring forward.
Yeah. Agreed.
But
All
I
right.
think I hope this is a good introduction for people that are watching, or that will probably watch later if we upload this, because I don't think anyone's here.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's here either, but that's okay, and we will upload it because I think that's good. We can maybe agree to meet up for one of these a month, Mark.
Yeah,
Just to tell where we're at with things, and see where we're going.
good idea.
Cool. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you the next time. Take
See
care.
ya.